Hey, President Trump. Hey, MAGA. You got it wrong about who your biggest enemy is, but you're right that they are taking you down. I'm Chris Cuomo. Welcome to the Chris Cuomo Project. I've been hearing it for a while right now. You know, it's the radical left. It's these jihadis. It's these people who want all trans kids in America and to play against your daughters, and so on and so on and so on. And all it has done is birthed your bigger, more angry, more active nemesis. MAGA now has an equal opposite, which is actually bigger in terms of people and energy than MAGA ever was, called MEGA, in my opinion. A bigger version of what MAGA was. More outrage, different culture wars, but lines up pretty easy. That is not your enemy. Your real enemy, that's your opposition. Your enemy is what is doing you harm. Your opposition isn't what's doing you harm. Your opposition is your competition. And how the elections go will decide that. Your enemy, what is destroying you, is Trump's agenda and how he is acting on it. And I can prove it to you. Okay? There is an interesting cross-section in politics where things are both unpopular and destructive. So, how do we see this? Tax hike. Unpopular, almost always. Even if you say you're only going to tax the rich, you're only going to tax the top. Did you know there's an interesting psychological phenomenon in our politics where when I say that only the top two tiers are going to get taxed and you will actually get a tax cut, people are still against the tax hike because they have an aspirational, if completely illogical notion, unrealistic notion that they will be in those brackets someday. And it's kind of like the tax hike is yucking your yum. It's killing your dream of being in that higher tax bracket someday. Isn't that perverse? Isn't that weird? But it's very real. So, tax hike, unpopular, but actually very helpful. Would make a very big difference, especially right now. Big revenue problems, big problems with how much support and enjoyment the top gets from our system versus the rest. What else is like that? Since President Trump has gotten in this time, he is doing everything. They all say promises kept, promises kept. Let's look a little bit more closely at that because the promises that he's keeping or the way that he's keeping his promises, let's say that, the way he's keeping those promises may barely be satisfying MAGA, and I don't care what they say in polls about how much they like it. If they are being honest, life has not gotten better for them except on social media. Look at what he's done. The tariffs have not made prices come down. Oh, well, they still could. I mean, that is wishful thinking that has nothing to do with the tariff. The tariff is absolutely a tax that must be absorbed and that almost always finds its end in higher prices to the consumer. That is economics. Could it lead to better deals that then reduce that tariff and change the prices and bring back manufacturing and add to jobs and add to wages? Yeah, sure. And my hairline could grow back in the next month and a half. About the same chance of each. If, then it makes sense. But if without if, then it didn't make sense. And it made things worse. That's how he kept his promise. Gas and groceries, gas and groceries. That pissed people off. It created more grievance. How he did the tariffs, the abusing of power, pardoning a guy he's now pretending not to know, allowing his sons to make gazillions, drain the swamp, Biden and his conflicts with his son, nothing compared to what this guy is doing out in the open with his own. The way he's keeping his promise is making it worse. And putting it in your face and forcing you to swallow it is killing the energy of MAGA and feeding the energy of MEGA because it is so corrupt and so obvious. Affordability, 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 affordability. Get used to it. It does not mean it's the economy stupid. It does not mean pocketbook wins. It is code. Affordability means the top has to come down and the rest has to come up. Someone must be blamed for my inability to get unstuck in this society. And it means something has to break. That's what it means. Both sides are going to fight over ownership of it. We're about affordability. We're about affordability. No, we're really about affordability. No, we are. But on both sides, they're just going to talk about who to blame and what to break, not how to fix. Why? Fixing is hard. Fixing is hard. So instead of that, what do? Ukraine war, ICE, immigration, all distractions from what was supposed to matter first. America first, the economy, the prices, the gas, the groceries. Those were the promises. And the fixes are just as fanciful as free, 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 free. Now, Democrats have an option that MAGA does not. MAGA is stuck with Trump and Trump echoes, right? Democrats have a choice. You have your angry fringe alternative that's playing with fundamentalism and anti-Semitic ideas. Or you have what won in Virginia and, frankly, in California and in New Jersey, which is people who are committed to getting better out of the system. Not as sexy, not fueled by outrage, but effective. They used to say boring wins in politics, that at the end of the day, the majority wants boring. It wants someone who's not all about charisma and flash and outrage, but actually fixing and getting things done and collaborate. I think that was true. I do not think it is true right now. I think charisma is enough. I think outrage is the commodity. I think it's everything. And that's why the issue is not the economy or tax policy or any kind of distribution of opportunities and how that works and what's incentivized, but what is punished. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from Stopbox. Let me tell you something. I have always felt that the whole Second Amendment issue misses the point, all right? You want to talk access? Fine. People who are gun owners need to take care of their weapons, and they don't. And the number one sin and crime, by the way, is safe storage. If you are like me and own a handgun for self-defense, I'm a shotgun guy, but many are handgun people, and I understand why. Storage is everything. And by the way, your bedside table drawer ain't it. Stopbox USA created a solution, the Stopbox Pro. With the Stopbox Pro, you don't have to choose between security and readiness. You want something that is inconspicuous, right? Durable, of course, easy to program. And that's what I like about Stopbox. You don't have to even remember a number, really. It's ingenious. You have this push-button locking system that gives you fast, reliable access that is unique to you. And it's literally so fast when every second counts. 100% mechanical, no keys, no batteries, okay? It works every time, no power needed. For a limited time, my listeners get 15% off at Stopbox when you use the code Cuomo at checkout. Let me tell you something. If you love a gun owner, or if you like a gun owner, this is a great gift for them, especially if you don't like how they store their weapon. Head to StopboxUSA.com and use the code Cuomo and you'll get 15% off your entire order. They're going to ask you, hey, where'd you hear about us? Please tell them Cuomo sent me. So, back to Trump and how he is his biggest enemy. It's not just his mouth and fake news and all that other bullshit. It's building a ballroom with private money, with people who just tend to have government contracts. It's in-your-face corruption. That's what it is. Do you want to know why the president wants to build the Arc de Trump? And no, it's not because it's, it's an analog to the Arc de Triomphe in France, in Paris. That's not what it is. It's because, one, he believes in the legacy effect of building something. That's why he's always wanted to be a builder the way his father was. And why he was impressed by my brother doing LaGuardia and Moynihan Station and that other stuff. Because when you build something, it lasts, it's there, your name is always on it. But there's another reason that he doesn't give a shit about the glory of the cause. He cares about his own self-glorification. And he wants this monument to his greatness with your money. Oh, no, he's going to do private money. Hey, listen. Again, this is shit sandwich versus piss porridge, okay? How? We're using private money to build a ballroom. What do you care? Well, first of all, you destroyed part of a national monument to create something that sends the exact message of excess and largesse at a time that so many are literally fucking starving. Okay? His animus towards his opponents is more powerful than any of his promises to him. How do we know? Snap. Disproportionately, MAGA voters need those benefits, need the ACA subsidies. The overlap between those two things is very high. He intentionally, you can say the Democrats shut it down. They did to have this fight. They did to have this fight. But the SNAP benefits are proof of this. Yes, the Democrats shut down the government, but to have the fight over the ACA subsidies. Oh, but they designed the ACA subsidies to expire, so they didn't really want them. That's a fucking lie. Yes, they had to be a short-term fix because the Democrats wanted them to end? No, because of the reconciliation process. You're only allowed to do short-term additions to the budgeting process under those rules. Anyone who tells you otherwise is playing you for a fool. Of course they wanted them to be permanent. Well, they were made too much during the pandemic. Yeah, because of the pandemic. Look, it's a legitimate political argument. If you want the subsidies to be less because they were inflated during the pandemic and we don't need them to be anymore, fine. If you want the reimbursement rates to states for emergency care that they have to provide by law to people who are often undocumented, fine. I think the Democrats should give Republicans that issue. You decide what those reimbursement rates should be. You own it. You own that message. If it works for you, great. I don't think it will. I don't know why Democrats won't do it. I don't know why they don't listen to me. That's what it was supposed to be about. And we need that fight. This way, with a shutdown? No, I'm against it. Shutdown should be illegal. We don't have any other leverage. That's because you suck. No, it's because we're not in power. When you were in power, you didn't do shit about it. That's why you're out of power. So I have no mercy. I have no feeling for that. I don't believe in the righteousness of this shutdown. I believe in the righteousness of the cause on healthcare. Why won't they tell you the most important factor in the debate? Why won't Trump ever mention the subsidy to private corporations if he's against the rich and the powerful because they can't own him and he's going to fight back against them? Why doesn't he tell you that? That after Medicare and Medicaid, it's subsidies to big rich corporations that pay their top people gazillions and choke labor and try to find ways to replace them and cut them. Why do they get that subsidy? Oh, because they wouldn't give you health care otherwise. Why? Why? Why don't you change the rules? So that it doesn't benefit them to do what they should do. Don't incentivize it. Incentivize you. We don't get free health care from the companies, the 160 million of us or so. You still have to pay. I just got my letter that my price is going up. Promise is kept. It's how you keep the promise. You're going to withhold SNAP, have a court force you to do it, say you're waiting on court guidance when you'd already been given it. And then you're going to have people go out there and lie and say, oh, it's a mixed, we don't know. It wasn't in 2018, 2019 during the last shutdown. When the USDA said the reserve funds were there available for SNAP, what changed? I'll tell you what changed. Trump and his people had them change the USDA guidance so that they could withhold SNAP right now. Why would they do that? Because they hate poor people? No. They want you to hate poor people. They want you to blame poor people. They want to demonize them. That's this crazy ass faux Christian, us versus them bullshit on MAGA that propelled the intensity of MAGA. That's on Trump. His choices. Build a ballroom in this economy? Oh, it's other people's money. Another conflict, more corruption right in my face? Pardon someone, you say you don't know who he is? Are you kidding me? The guy makes tens of millions of dollars, creates the stable coin for your sons. You don't know who he is? The most money in any single transaction to ever come into your family, and you don't know who he is. Come on. Come on. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from iRestore. Look, gift giving time is here, and let me tell you, I've got a great idea for you. The iRestore Elite program really helps someone you love or yourself to look and feel better, okay? If you are hair sensitive, if you want to keep what you have or you want what you have to be better, this iRestore Elite, the Revive Plus Max Growth Kit, you put that all together and you have an action plan that is proven to help regrow hair. The helmet, as I call it, 300 lasers, 200 LEDs, light therapy directly to your scalp. Look, could I be wrong? Of course, but the science says otherwise and my experience says otherwise. My hair feels thicker to me. Holidays mean get-togethers, photos, and you want to look good, right? iRestore is here to help. Huge Black Friday savings all month long. The code Cuomo at iRestore.com will unlock an exclusive discount. But you have to tell them that I sent you. That's what makes all this work. Please help me help you. This is the big enemy. This is what's killing MAGA. This is what is fueling MAGA. How he's keeping his promises. The tariffs that are making your prices go up. Demonizing all illegal entrants as if they're all the same. And what that message sends and how you enforce it. Telling his people to not work with Democrats. Now that's going to change. Why? Because the shutdown is poison for these parties. Everybody's pissed at it, and you should be. They're all doing it for themselves and their advantage of one over the other, not for you. They don't give a shit about you. That's the truth. Ballroom, ARC, tariffs, ICE, all of these things taken together are what the big enemy is for MAGA. You are not getting what you wanted, economically, socially. Yeah, there's more hard talk about trans and what happens in our schools, but that shit was never really happening anyway. Right? I mean, what have you heard about that fix? Is there a rule that trans people can't be in sports? Nope. Has there been any hard curriculum change? No, you just stop talking about it. The healthcare battle is real. The expense problem there is real. And they're not even telling you the main reason for it. Obamacare never worked. You never tweaked it after it was originally created. And you told red states not to accept the Medicaid expansion that would have brought down rates in those states and created more choice. You set it up to fail. You tried to repeal it 70-something times, and you never had anything to replace it with. And then during the election, you said you had concepts of a plan. The way you keep the promises is killing you and fueling the reaction formation to you. Now, will you take the lesson on the left? I don't think so. Not with what I'm seeing. Now, with no kings, I think there's potential. With what went in New York City, I don't see it the same way, man. I don't think playing with anti-Semitism and free Palestine is going to resonate with the majority in America any more than white fright did. White fright, Christian nationalism, neo-nationalism, right? Nativism, xenophobia, versus anybody who doesn't like anything that comes out of Islamism is Islamophobic. That's the new one. And all the people pushing that are just as bad as all the people pushing this. Right? Okay? Tim Pool, all those guys on the right, the pod bros, Mehdi Hassan, Cenk Uygur, all those pod bros on the left. Equal opposites, selling you cancer. Selling you cancer. Oh, there's nothing wrong with people who want to kill Jews and think there should be no Israel. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you think there is, you're an Islamophobe. There's nothing wrong with white pride and wanting us to have more white babies and wanting to have less brown people and keep our blood pure. Nothing wrong. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? It's not even a close call. How can we be here? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Anger and outrage. Those are the commodities. We've never had them amplified by the media before. Another lie. The media, they've done this. Really? Really? Just like everything else, it's degree. Did the media fall down on its job of doing what we're supposed to do as best as we could? Of course we did. But what did that open the door to? Worse. No fucking way you look at social media and tell me it's an improvement. No way. More is not always better. We've never had this much mis and disinformation, and you fucking know it. Especially in our politics. You have no clue what's true. No way you thought that was true 15 years ago. No, well, oh yeah, because we just believed all the lies. No, now you do. Now you do. There is no some say. There is no allegedly. There are no question marks. Everybody bullshits you about everything all the time because there's no accountability. There's none. What is this state of play between left and right? White fucking pride versus, I'm down with brown? Extreme? That's what it is? Right? You're an Islamophobe. You're a Nazi. That's all it is. Don Lemon and Megyn Kelly, she's a tranny. That's the state of play. This is the battle of ideas. This is the social media marketplace of ideas that you say is so much better? Seriously. You now have people on the left telling you to get a weapon for when ICE comes. They sound just like what they used to dismiss as absurd. In MAGA, why do you need a weapon? For when the government comes. When the government comes. Tyranny. The tyranny of government, man. I'm ready. Yeah, I'm mocking your stupid ass because it's a stupid ass the thing to say. Same way I'm saying this. You better get your weapon. You better be ready because they're going to come. You don't even know how to use a fucking gun. Going against police officers when they're acting under color of authority. Well, but it's a bad arrest. Yeah, so you should shoot the cop. So fucking stupid. This is the battle of the fringes. And it is the enemy of Trump, perversely. It got him here. But once he got into power, in a way he could be held to account, without a pandemic, to erase the prioritization that should exist, right? Because the crisis changed the calculus, right? We saw he couldn't do well in a crisis. But now that he's just being measured by what he does without an intervening crisis, now he's got power. Now he's got to own the status quo. And his real enemy is how he keeps his promises. More corruption, in-your-face corruption, worse economic moves, worse policy moves, more toxic talk, not less. And I know you'll show me polls that say, yeah, but the MAGA people say they're happy. What are they going to say? We were wrong. This sucks. This is worse. Nobody says that. Support for the Chris Cuomo Project comes from Cozy Earth. My wife and I were just talking about them. She was saying, oh, I love these sheets. I said, they're the Cozy Earth. She said, no, they're not. They're the Egyptian gazillion count, blah, blah, blah. I said, no, pretty sure they're the Cozy Earth. And we looked, and I was right. Who can believe it? I know, very rare, but this time I was. How did I know? Because the Cozy Earth bedding has this interesting quality that it gets softer over time and the fit stays the same. I don't know how they do that, but they do, and it works. The bamboo pajama set. It's made from, instead of the normal textiles, it comes from bamboo, which is so easy to sustain, does not destroy our forests. Then you have the bubble cuddle blanket. Okay, this is a kid's favorite. It's a great holiday gift, cozy moments, very warm. So holidays are coming, you're thinking about gifting. What can I give that's a little different, that's going to set me apart? And this one's a little tough. Everybody needs bedding. Everybody needs bedtime clothes. Everybody wants to be comfortable. And then it gets better. How about a 100-night sleep trial? I mean, this is crazy. Black Friday has come early at Cozy Earth. Go to my code, Chris, on top of their site-wide sale so you can stack, okay? That will give you up to 40% off in savings. CozyEarth.com, use the code Chris and you will get up to 40% off in savings. Of course, the deals aren't going to last. So be smart. Start your holiday shopping today and get a post-purchase survey and give me some love so I can keep doing the project. Wrap the ones you love in luxury with Cozy Earth. So where does it leave us? Well, we just got a little dose of perspective in these off-season elections. And remember, not a quadrennial election, not a presidential election, not a midterm election, a one-off. So what does that mean? Well, got to be slow about the message. Now, I do believe that the mayoralty race in New York City is a metaphor for what's happening on the mass scale in the country, more than Virginia or California, the Proposition 50, or in Maine, or in New Jersey, if I haven't said that yet. I do. Why? Because there's a lot more money, a lot more interest, and there's a lot more messaging that's national in nature. Now, why aren't I beating up on Zohran Mamdani? My brother just ran against him, lost twice. And I knew he would, both times. And why? Because he's up against a movement. And Andrew is not what Democrats want to be right now. That's true. Do I think they're right? No, but who cares? I'm not a Democrat. I don't even recognize that party. And the idea of Mamdani quoting my father is a joke. My father would have laughed at him. And he would have been really embarrassed by this. And he would have been really sad for the people who were putting faith in AOC and these charlatans. Because he actually fought for them. He actually made things change for them. And he hated people selling false hope to those who were already struggling. He hated it. So I don't demonize him because I don't think that matters. I also think he's a mascot. I think he's a puppet. And I do think you're going to learn more about the people who are around him. I think he's going to be backpedaling a lot, not just from his promises. That's easy. Trump's doing the same thing. They're both false prophets, right? And it's easier for him to back off. Well, I didn't mean like free bus. I meant like we should bring the price down. We should do this. I didn't mean free growth. I mean, we should do this. We should do that. You know, I mean, that's easy. And he can't get any of it done anyway. So he'll just be able to blame the system. I'm not worried about that. On the culture side, I do worry for the Jews. And if, God forbid, something happens that involves an extreme Islamist, not a Muslim. Now, for those of you who are saying, fuck you, Chris, every extreme Islamist is a Muslim. I disagree. Now, not only because of Luigi Mangione, because he's not an extreme Islamist, he's just an extremist, a fundamentalist. And I believe they're all the same. You don't. Okay. You're wrong, but that's okay. Here's why I say that. Am I the same as a Christian zealot who bombs a place where women get health care? No. We do not believe the same things. I know they say they're a Christian. They're a fucking idiot. They're wrong. Same thing. I know you say you're a Muslim. Oh, no, it's right in the Quran. Oh, please. And I can't find you all the same shit in the Bible? You're another fake book that you believe is the word of whatever? Give me a break. We all have our stories. An extreme Islamist, someone who turns to terror or violence, is someone who is rejecting the idea of any type of higher positive power or any type of set of rules that help you live a better life. They are rejecting that. And I'm not going to blame all Muslims. Now, is there an issue about how the community speaks out when, yeah, sure. It's true with the Jews. It's true with the Muslims. That when some of you do something fucked up, the rest of you do have an exigency. You do have a responsibility, especially because of this vacuum of ignorance, to stand up and say, hey, look, that's not us. I do. I don't think you do it enough. I'll be honest. And I know that that's an unfair piece of pressure, but it's what it is. The same way I got to stand up and say, look, I know some of you think I should be going at Mamdani because he beat my brother twice, but that's not how I do. Why? Because there's a responsibility on me to be fair. I think my brother would have been better for the city. Absolutely. He knows how to work within government better. He's a proven leader. He knows how to do things. This guy's never had a fucking job. Everything I just said is a fact. Now, you can have feelings about what that means and what that means about Andrew and what that means about him. That's fine. That's what an election's about. And he won it easily. So here we are. And I think he's going to back off a lot of this stuff, but you got to look at who's pulling the strings. Oh, well, Andrew's billionaire donors. Listen, Nobody wants the money out of politics more than I do. Neither of these sides want to unilaterally disarm. You're going to say you'd rather people who work for CARE and for extreme Islamist ideological organizations versus other kinds of rich people? Okay, that's your choice. I think all the money is bad, but I think there's an extra with the source of that money. And we'll see. You'll see what it is. Now, the people pulling the strings are not just the people with the crazy ideas where Jews are involved. AOC, Bernie. Here's my problem with them. You don't fix anything. You don't even propose good fixes. You just attack and attack and attack, which makes you no different than the MAGA messengers. Now, I do believe it's right to be examining who makes and how much they give. I do. But you don't do anything about it. You don't even bring up the third largest healthcare subsidy, which is to these corporations. Why do they get that kind of incentive? Because otherwise they wouldn't provide insurance. And change the rules that if you don't, you can't be on our list or on our markets. And do something, you mofos. You're not capitalizing. You're fomenting tension. And you're personally capitalizing, but you're not changing the reality for people. You're not. Trump's, MAGA's biggest enemy is how he's keeping his promises. That's the opportunity for you. But we're not in power. But you can say what you would do that's differently. You can say what you would do differently. Not say it differently. What would you do that is different from him? Plans, ideas. You don't want that. Why? This is easier. You criticize Mamdani, you're an Islamophobe. Free everything is good. Socialism is good. It's not what Abigail Spanberger thinks. And that's the battle within the left. See, MAGA does not have this burden, right? They have all eaten their shit sandwich. They're in. All they can do is look at you and say, you're crazy, and you're making that easy for them. But you still have a big advantage over MAGA with MEGA. I think the MEGA is going to catch on, by the way. You'll see. Should trademark it. Spanberger says you should never use the word socialism. Spanberger worked for the CIA. Spanberger was in Congress. Spanberger is about getting things done within the system and trying to make it better that way. I think that wins with the majority. I know it's boring. It's not as sexy. It's practical. This is easier. Social media plays off this. That's why nobody knows who Abigail Spanberger is. I get it, but I don't like it. And I don't think you should either. The biggest enemy for Trump and MAGA is how he's keeping his promises. There is opportunity in that is not being utilized on the left right now, even in healthcare. Go at him with the changes we need to see. Not just he's demonizing people by denying SNAP and not wanting to deal with the subsidies. That's true, but it's not enough. Not to do more than just outrage. Trump's biggest enemy is what he's doing. Attack it and show that you can do better. What do you think? Thank you for checking me out here and on News Nation, 8 p and 11 p every weekday night. Thank you for checking me out on TikTok and subscribing there and on our YouTube and on our Substack. All of them are going to have different offerings for you. And as you know, I give away a lot of the money and you can get some satisfaction out of being part of that as well. My brothers and sisters, I'm going to have a whole new line of gear to impress upon you, being a critical thinker, that you are different. You do not want to be what's happening. You do not want to make this choice. You do not have to. Be different. Be a critical thinker and independent. That is all. Be a free agent. And the money, you know what we're going to do with it, and you'll be part of that. The problems are real. I still believe the solution is to see it for what it is, and let's get after it.